Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michel Desmarquet and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who have been a part of our journey for the last several years. I'm thinking maybe 6 or so, going on 7. So thank you, Folgers. We couldn't do it without you, nor would we want to. Also, big thank you to Justin Snicker, a.k.a. Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, for the contribution of his music, his time, and his voice for the intro you just heard. He is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music streaming platforms. Also, big thanks to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind the logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the Halloween and horror genre, but does amazing commission pieces of any type. Okay, big announcement. I aired this yesterday on Beyond the Outer Realm, but starting March the 5th and moving forward, every Thursday night show will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We are going down an hour. And again, you are all welcome.
Yes.
I know.
Can't say I wasn't happy with you going.
I know. So there we go. So we're going down an hour. And so, hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier for some people. Before we get to our guests, just want to take the time, of course, to get into everybody in the chat room. God, you guys are just like well on the way here. So big Karen. Hello, Karen. Yes, we're looking very forward to this as well. It's a revisit. Samuel is one of our fan favorites, definitely one of ours, and topic that we also just love. So hello to Wayne, Carol Ann, hello. Making our way down. Oh, hello, Michael. How are you? Okay, we got Michael again. Hello.
You look like a crazy
I love
person.
it.
Every time I see something,
I know. Just keep going. Hello, Michel, the way from Australia. Hello. Keep going. Hello, Kathy. How are you? Hello. Okay, I think we're getting there. All right, more people will be chiming in. This is awesome. And something is just completely throwing me off here. So I'm just gonna there we go. The board keeps changing things around. Anyway, so
she's a tech wizard, I tell you.
Anyway, and here we go. Oh, one more. Rochelle, hello. Glad you could make it. Hello, Guardian. Hello. Oh, my goodness. All right. So this is a revisit. And what I mean by that, again, Samuel's been on before. We are so excited to have him return. And you will be seeing more of him on the show moving forward as well. But we're revisiting the Thiaoouba Prophecy, which I have to say, the first time I heard it, and I can only speak for myself, it put this light on, and I kind of went, okay, wait, this is all information that I've researched over the years. This is all stuff that I'm still interested in. I'm still researching because, we're all students. The idea of the journey is just to keep learning and keep looking at different perspectives and an idea and research. But the Thiaoouba Prophecy was a true story of a travel through time and space to what's called the Golden Planet. And he's translated this book, which is a heck of a feat just in itself. And it was written by an amazing individual named I should know this too, and I'm just brain tooting, so I do apologize. I do apologize. But the book was written by Michel Desmarquet, and it is probably one of the most interesting pieces that I have come across, thanks to Samuel, because it is a gift that keeps on giving. It literally talks about everything. I want to just put it out there right now. Some of you guys are going to be, yeah, this is incredible. And there's going to be some things that are going to come up and you're going to go, oh, well, that can't be right. because we have been, conditioned to believe things a certain way in a certain order. And things are not always the way, that we've been taught it was. And I'm just probably going to best leave that right there. And without further ado, welcome our special guest, Samuel Chong. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, very good. Thanks for having me here again.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for indulging us yet again. Of course, I know you talk about this incredible book all the time because we see you everywhere. But we're going to have to retrace our steps a little bit because our audience is so much bigger than when you were here a few years back. I know what this book did for me, and I'm just somebody who learned about it from you. So how did this book impact you to the point where you said, oh, I'm just going to translate this and share this with the world?
Because I was curious about the things that the author was not allowed to write in the book. So I tracked the author down by spending $2,000 of my own money, visiting Vietnam from Los Angeles, like half of the globe, and then without knowing his exact address. And I took a picture of his bungalow, showed it to the local taxi driver, asked him to take me there. And then, so that's how I got into the author's kind of vision. And he asked me to get the book published in China. So that's how I got to that. I was intrigued by the facts stated in the book, and it actually enlightened me quite a bit.
Yes. It's got a mix of everything. What specifically, because like I said, we're going to go through some information here, which is going to probably leave people wondering, like, no, this can't be a thing. Or some people might going to be saying, yes, I resonate with that completely. What was it specifically that really hooked you?
That we should be spiritual and look inside for answers, not necessarily be religious, having the church or the pastors or priests acting as an agent or intermediary agency, because we can communicate with the Creator directly by praying or by meditating or just by having a good night of sleep. Because the kingdom of God is within you, says in the book of Luke.
Right. And I mean, you were on a search for these answers. Do you feel you have found these answers pretty much in one spot with this book?
Yes, because it answers all the questions about the mysteries and the paranormals on Earth, such as the Great Pyramid, the moas or statues on Easter Island, ghosts, the Bermuda Triangle, the political systems, and the human energy fields like the auras, as well as how the ancient civilizations existed on Earth in our ancient past, and how the continents of Lemuria and Atlantis disappeared almost overnight. So it actually connects everything and connects all the dots. And especially the chapter on who was Christ, that shocked me quite a bit, because it explains how the different Catholic Church Council meetings distorted the original meanings of the ancient scriptures, and also explains what really happened in our past, like who parted the sea for Moses, and who was Jesus, who was Christ, and why there's a tomb of Jesus in Japan, and where we all came from originally, and why Jewish people excel and are exceptional in all the different fields that they enter into, and why they're so different. So this book actually answers all the questions that I had in my mind before.
Wow. And there's a lot of verifiable facts in this book. Do you want to talk about some of those?
Yes, the book was actually written back in 1989, got it published in 1993. So
Right.
way before the age of the internet. So way before everything was known to the public about the antibacterial effect of blue light, in which the author stated in the book that he was disinfected after he entered into the spacecraft of the ETs that he encountered with. And it also says that there's a tomb of Jesus in Japan, in Shingo Village, Japan, that people can still visit.
Mhm.
The author, Michel Desmarquet, never visited Japan in his entire life, and he did not know how to use computers. He didn't know how to type, but yet he described the tomb of Jesus in Japan in a very striking manner, very consistent with what some of the journalists who went to Japan described it.
Mm.
Also, yeah, talks about a lot about the interventions of the extraterrestrials in the history of mankind.
Right. So there's some good stuff in there. So I mean, where do you even start? Let's maybe start with, his journey and messages from extraterrestrials, because we hear a lot about how everything is just so gloom and doom when it comes to a lot of encounters. And I don't want to discount some people's experiences here, because some people have had some pretty horrific things happen to them. And there are other people who have had entirely different experiences. I like to chalk it up to good people, bad people. Maybe same applies with different races, of extraterrestrials. But the messages that, Michelle had received were a lot more lighthearted.
Well, you can put it that way. It actually has a lot of information and facts
Yeah.
that would enlighten people, giving people hope for the future. So this is why I actually encourage people to read the book in order for us to build a better future for humanity on Earth, not just for the Americans, not just for the Indians, but also for the people in Africa, in Europe, and also in Asia and Latin America, in addition to the US and Canada. So this book is actually a book that's for everyone, talking about that there are different races or different species of different extraterrestrials in our universe, and this group of ETs, they say that the future depends on our own collective actions, indicating that if we act collectively through a collective consciousness, we can create a better future. Because when we act locally, when we form a group, and we can actually start an inertia that can spread out, so that everyone can have concerted actions to build a better future for mankind on Earth. So this book is very interesting on that.
So, I mean, when you're looking at things like disclosure, what's happening, right now in this time, a lot of people, who are experiencers, we don't seem to need this official disclosure. But, obviously there are people that do. I mean, does Michelle say it all? Like, was he told like that their presence need to be made public?
Well, I know I totally get you and I hear you. A
Yeah.
lot of people need this kind of official disclosure.
Yeah.
In fact, this book encourages people to look inside for answers and not to rely on politicians. And actually, it actually named the four dangers, the real dangers on Earth. Number one is money. Number two, politicians. Number three, journalists and drugs. And number four, religions. And it actually encourages people to form this kind of action on their own and to receive knowledge on their own in order to empower themselves, because knowledge is power, and they don't really need to rely on the politicians in order to get things done, because the politicians are elected by the people and the people can act and can get together themselves to form this kind of collective action and collective effort. So for me, I would encourage people to not to wait for the official disclosure, but to gain knowledge on their own to empower themselves so that they can make the right choices in the future for themselves.
I agree. Amelia, do you have something you want to say? I can't hear you. Your mic is off. So I was wondering why you're so quiet.
Oh my gosh, I laughed and talked 100 times. I should mute it from the screen, not from here, because I can't see that button.
We weren't ignoring you. You were just
no. It's okay. It's okay. I turned it on mute because I was hacking. I've been sick for 2 weeks. Do you believe that we will have official disclosure, or this is just something they're teasing us with and creating distractions with?
We will have a disclosure, whether it's by the government or by others. So we are going to have an official disclosure. If the government doesn't do it, then the ETs are going to do it. So the thing is, I would use analogy and in comparing the book of Enoch. So if you read the book of Enoch, you're going to see there are watchers, extraterrestrials that are watching over us. When Michel Desmarquet read the book of Enoch, he was very surprised that there are similar descriptions that he personally encountered as well during his journey to the planet Thiaoouba. And he believed that Enoch was actually taken by the same group of ETs that he was taken by.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness.
And if you do the calculation, if you do analysis, Noah was the great-grandson of Enoch. By some estimate, 40 to 80 years after the book of Enoch was written, Noah was told to build an ark. So Michel Desmarquet wrote a book back in 1989 and got it published in 1993. You can imagine, and you can make the same comparison, what's going to happen 40 or 80 years after.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything I think is hidden in plain sight, or has been, reworded or maybe mistranslated, or there's a lot that gets lost in translation as well. Do you feel that some countries are more advanced, are more open to dealing with extraterrestrials? I mean, there's some countries that have been experiencing this forever, and they've been very open about it.
Well, I don't want to talk about the governments, but I want to talk about the people.
Yes.
Like in the US, people still rely on the government's official disclosure. But in China, people don't trust the government at all.
Right.
So
I think that's becoming international.
So they know that they have to get the information themselves. So this book, Thiaoouba Prophecy, has been a bestseller in China and Taiwan. So the Chinese people have been empowered with the knowledge from this book, so they know what is really going on in the universe, in the history of Earth. So I think by that, I mean, they are a little bit far more advanced than the American people in having this knowledge to make the right choices in the future. It's just that the government is clamping down or is kind of restraining the decisions of the people. But when the government becomes more democratic in the future, hopefully the people is empowered in the right knowledge already so that they can make better choices. I think by that, they're probably a little bit more advanced than the American public.
I agree. I look even at ancient cultures, which of course, is all in this book as well. They had relationships, interactions with, the beings from the stars, or whether they be here already, because, we know that there's some been here. We're not the only ones on this big old planet. But I mean, it reflects in the rock art that you see, petroglyphs. It reflects in the ancient structures and different things that you see. Like they emulated what they saw, whether they feared it, whether they embraced it. whatever the case may be. Now it seems as though a certain time came and all of that stopped. There was no discussion about it. Some people say it was Roswell that changed all of that. But I mean, moving forward, people are starting to talk about it again.
Yes, indeed. I think this is a good start, and people need to realize that there are different kinds of ETs. Some are just like our peers. Like I see the ETs or different planets are just like a school system. Like we are elementary school students, and some ETs are kind of like us, very primitive, and some are very advanced, like college professors, like the Thiaoubans. So I see that there are different ETs coming into or getting into contact with us, but we should learn from the masters, learn from the professors. So this is why I've been so emphasizing or putting a lot of attention, time, and efforts in getting people to learn from the professors, learn from the Thiaoubans, because they are actually responsible, and they were responsible for some of the historical events as described in the Bible, the Old Testament of the Bible and the New Testament of the Bible. And
Yeah, very different.
yeah, very different.
Yes. Well, I think there are, I mean, getting even into the Old Testament, New Testament, I think if the one that has is completely the most intact would be the Ethiopian Bible, which has pretty much all the books in there. There's like, what, 88, something along those lines. You're in for a surprise, people. You're in for a surprise. Do you feel that, I mean, through time, we've heard about presidents, especially here in the United States, meeting with extraterrestrials for technology. They, you know, this happened overseas during the war with the Germans, allegedly. You know, they were in contact with extraterrestrials. It seems to be very technology based, maybe why things are kept so hidden. Then we look at Admiral Byrd and Antarctica and all those stories. Do you think the world is just too focused on the technology?
Yes, definitely that's the case, because the government has been in touch with the Greys, and the Greys are actually not that far more advanced from us spiritually. So
Right.
they have technologies, but on a spiritual level, they're our peers. So they're not like Christ, who taught us about spirituality and love and reincarnation. And the Greys are actually a dying race, a dying species, because according to Michel Desmarquet, the Thiaoubans tell him that the Greys have been losing their immune system over time, and they put implants on some of us to observe how we respond to the same situation, because we also have been losing our immune system since 1948. So they want to see how we cope with the same situation. And so this is one of the things not written in the book. And I also want to say that it's kind of important to know some of the facts, specific verifiable facts in the book. For example, the ETs intervened, just preventing Germany from being the first country to develop the atomic bomb. And I did some research, and it turned out to be the case, because Germany was actually far ahead of the US scientists in researching the atomic bomb. But for some strange reason, Dr. Heisenberg of Germany made a very stupid mistake, a mistake that a physicist shouldn't have made.
Yes.
And so that's why the American scientists then got ahead of Germany in deploying the two bombs in Japan, ending the war much earlier than it would have been otherwise, saving a lot of casualties. So this is actually specified in the book. And also, there's another theological aspect in the book as well. It actually named the 4 Catholic Church Council meetings that intentionally distorted original ancient scriptures of the Bible. The Council of Nicaea is one of them, but there are 3 others. And so the book is very specific. So if you really want to get knowledge, get a book.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah, think for yourself.
So the Philadelphia experiment, was this a technology that was given to the United States, or is this just something like a reverse engineered that they found, got a hold of? What is your thoughts on that?
I think in the very beginning, they just wanted to cloak the ship
Yeah.
from the radars so that the ship would not appear on the radar system. So what they did that they projected energy, a specific form of like wavelengths of energy, and onto the ships. And the ships disappeared from the radar, and then there's a distortion of time and space. So this is kind of like accidental. And then they did some research and to find out what's really happened. But the Theoubans, the ETs, tell us that we can actually access the Akashic record by synchronizing the wavelength or the frequency of energy to 7 times the speed of light. So that because when a planet is born, according to the ETs, everything is documented and recorded by a cocoon or psychosphere that rotates at 7 times the speed of light. So if we can actually match the vibrational frequency of the cocoon, the psychosphere, we can actually access the Akashic record and go back in time. And actually, the author was taken back in time and saw what really happened during the time of Lemuria and witnessing how the entire continent sunk into the ocean almost overnight, and how they had a great spiritual civilization in which money did not exist. So everyone just took whatever they needed from the marketplace without taking advantage of each other, and how the pyramid was built, and how they used a kind of nuclear energy to make light bulbs.
Yes. Well, Nikola Tesla even, came up with some of that technology, taking it from the ether, which brings me to the Nikola Tesla question. Do you think that he was in contact with ET? I mean, he built, a machine which you could communicate through, and he always said that, he goes, I think I might be speaking to Martians or to somebody from beyond the stars. And if you look at some of the old, you go into the FBI vaults and you find that they have a document that states that he was actually Venusian, and they were a technology-based civilization.
Yes. There were life forms on Mars. That's confirmed by the book Thiaoouba Prophecy, because Mars used to be a planet in which it had an atmosphere.
Yes.
But the core of Mars cooled down. So when the core of a planet cools down, it no longer has the magnetic force to capture the atmosphere anymore. So Mars became a desert. So it's also possible that other planets had life forms in the past. So I would say that Nikola Tesla accessed the Akashic record in his dreams or in his certain state of mind, and then retrieving the knowledge that they had in the past, and so helping him in his inventions. So that's totally possible, and it could be what's really happened.
I wonder why Stephen Hawking was so against it.
Well, there are people who are just totally left-brain people, and I think Stephen Hawking is one of them.
Yeah, I'm wondering if because he couldn't do it, he didn't want anyone else to. That ego and the narcissism that comes with that kind of intelligence and power.
I mean, like a lot of times when people are famous, they tend to have a strong ego, and they tend to believe that they know everything. But in fact, a lot of the knowledge is actually kept by people who meditate, and people who are humble enough to really look inside, and also to develop these psychic abilities to access the Akashic record, like Nikola Tesla.
Yes. Well, I believe that special people do special things, and he was definitely somebody who, at least, he believed in paying it forward. They just never let him because he believed in free energy. He believed, that you just give back, and they just weren't playing nice. So, um, jumping back to Lemuria for a moment, it is believed that, of course, when that continent sank, that the ancient Lemurians you know, made their way in boats, however it is, ships, um, to in the area of Mount Shasta through, going through by Antarctica, South America, and ended up making the way to Mount Shasta. A lot of people have had experiences there. Do you feel that that's a possibility?
I think it could be possible, but the chance is not that big because some of the Lemurians went across North American continent, went to Atlantis. So this is why Thoth was seen by the Egyptians as a god, but in fact he was a person from Atlantis, originally from Lemuria, and he actually had a great knowledge to build the great pyramids of Egypt. And I would say that some of the knowledge passed on to certain people, but most of the knowledge was lost over time, especially after the burning of the Library of Alexandria.
Yes.
However, I can say that if you read the book 334 Lies, which I translated from German into English, you're going to realize that some of the members of the secret societies have the knowledge of the past, and they're able to develop their psychic abilities, but not use it to the advantage of humanity, but to use it in a negative way. That's kind of sad, but be forewarned that the book 334 per thousand lies is a very disturbing book, but it reveals that certain members of the secret societies are able to use a specific form of astrology and numerology to predict the past and to predict the future and to see the past. And this is why when you look at the Illuminati card game, you're going to see that it actually predicts the future quite accurately about 9/11s, about COVID, about Princess.
Yeah.
Nostradamus had a lot of that covered as well.
Yeah.
Well, we most certainly can talk about that book, maybe on the other show, which is where we do the uncensored stuff. That might work out really well. So essentially, Thoth built the pyramids. So how old do they think the pyramids are, and how old are the pyramids really, based on the book?
Well, based on the book, the pyramid was built 17,000 years ago by Thoth in 9 years' time.
Wow.
And he used anti-gravitational technologies and ultrasonic vibratory systems to cut the huge stones in a very precise manner. He had the knowledge to align the stones so that the pyramid was actually used as an energy center to capture the cosmic and terrestrial energies so that the ancient pharaohs could sit in the king's chamber. They sat in the king's chamber and then meditated and communicated to people on different planets. So when I read books like this, I find it very logical and plausible, because when people say the ET contactees say that they got information from the ETs saying that the pyramid was built using 200,000 slaves in a 40 period of time, I wouldn't buy that because it doesn't make any logical sense.
Yes. Yes.
But this book describes it logically and reasonably. That it would make a lot of sense to a lot of people.
Yeah, you have to throw the logic in there as well. Wow. So that's a lot. I mean, there is, of course, there is a big belief that, yes, the Atlanteans ended up going to Egypt. There's also the belief that, I mean, where was Atlantis exactly? Some people believe it was a worldwide, that they were a community that just spread all over the place. Some people believe that they were in the Azores. Other people believe that they were in Bermuda near the Bimini Wall. Other people believe they're in Greece. where were they?
If you can tell us.
Yeah. What does the book say?
Yes, it's actually in the Atlantic Ocean. There was actually kind of connected to the European continent and the African continent. And then, but it sank almost overnight into the ocean. And there was a Caucasian race that lived on Atlantis. And then, but before the continent sunk into the ocean, some of the Caucasian people went across, like they went to Europe, to the UK. At that time, the UK was connected to the European continent. And then it actually lived in the Northern European continent, Northern Europe. And this book, why I'm so into the book, because it actually verified and validated the tectonic belief in which there was a drifting or shifting of the continents over time. So it talks about in the past, Australia was connected to Tasmania, and then it was connected to Antarctica as well. And then it talks about how the continents were like, what the continents were like in the past. Kind of like combining scientific theories into some of the things that we haven't been able to prove.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, thanks. People really, my advice is really look into geography from the past. I was saying how earlier when we were talking about how so many countries were attached at one time. And, there's so much even political behind the way a map is made. And you can even look that up online when you have a minute. Not now because you're watching us.
Just look at the Perry Reese map. I mean, right
there. You
there,
go. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name.
But was also a continent. What was it like? Just on the other side of Asia, between North America, Asia, right in the middle. That it was a fair-sized continent, and it still sticks up a little bit, doesn't it? Like it has a bit of a mountain range that comes out of the water.
Yes, that's the continent of Lemuria or Mu, and the part of the Hawaiian Islands and Easter Islands, they were part of the continent. So on that continent there was a very large pyramid that's 3 times as large as the Great Pyramid of Egypt, and then the people there had a very successful civilization, and they had great technologies. And also with spiritual knowledge, they had a very, very unique political structure that we can actually imitate, in which they select leaders from different townships. And then from the different leader that is selected or elected in the different towns, they get together and elect a regional leader. And then the different regional leaders are elected are selected to have a national leader. And then there's like 7 people in the council, and the great leader has 2 votes, and the rest 6 each has 1 vote. And then they build this kind of a long-lasting, sustainable political structure in which the politicians are elected by the people, and they look after the interests of the people. And this is not the bipartisan system that we have now in the U.S., in which the president doesn't have full control of whatever he wants to do, and sometimes the president doesn't work in the interest of the people. But the political system and structure on Lemuria was so perfect that it is actually a model that we can imitate nowadays.
I'm going to ask a stupid question. Do we know why it sank?
Natural disaster, earthquake, and volcanic activities.
Oh my goodness. Natural. That's refreshing. Sorry. Scary, but refreshing.
It's also could be because the people on the continent were so highly spiritual that they were ready to move up the ladder, to move to live on different category of planet.
Interesting.
Yes.
I like that.
Okay, so what's the story with the Bermuda Triangle?
Well, it is also a natural phenomenon in which there's a warp or portal that can suck uh, ships or
Yeah.
planes or people when
Yes.
they're nearby that portal
Mm-hmm.
into a parallel universe. So this is why, like when you read a book, the books written by David Paulides, you're gonna see that
The missing
there,
411.
yeah, the people who gone vanish in the national parks, and
Yes.
there's strange circumstances in the places that they just when the rescue teams search the places and they frequently find a corpse appear in the places they searched before.
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
It's fascinating because with that, I mean, people will automatically, you'll be talking to somebody and you turn around and they're just gone. They just and they don't ever make their way back, which is interesting. So when you're looking at the Bermuda Triangle itself, and there are triangles like all over the world, do they all have the same phenomena?
Yes, they do. There are different portals in different locations, and there are actually like ribbons in space. So they don't remain in the specific location over
They
time.
just
They
move.
float in space. Yes, like that.
Wow.
I
Wow.
wonder if they're all together somewhere.
Yes.
No, a lot of people go missing from Alaska. A lot of people go missing from Alaska. And a lot of people go to Alaska to escape a life that no longer works for them. It's a proven fact. So I always wondered about that triangle.
Alaska Triangle.
Yes, the Alaska Triangle, because so many people go missing, and it can't all be, someone who's a criminal who's trafficking them or kidnapping. There's too many. There's too many that go missing from Alaska. They have a high percentage of missing people.
Well, they also have a high percentage of UFO sightings, more like
Yeah.
Nome, Alaska. It's not uncommon for them to have between 2
No.
and 300.
Yes. In fact, the UFOs, the UAPs, or ETs, they take advantage of the portals or warps
Yes.
to come into Earth and get out of Earth.
Yeah.
You don't want people to see them, so this is why they use the portals as a hiding place.
Mhm.
And this is actually described in the book Thiaoouba Prophecy, how they do that, and what happens when they get into a parallel universe when time stops and people don't feel hunger or pain. So this is why when you read the books written by David Paulides, you're going to see that there are cases in which when the corpses are found, it seems that they walked to their bones. They didn't feel pain at all. So this is exactly what is described in the book Thiaoouba Prophecy, in which when you get into a parallel universe, you're stuck there, then time stops and you don't feel pain at all. And actually, as Amelia, you mentioned that people try to escape their life. I actually had a thought before. When I was in China in the early 1990s, people say that the end of the world was going to be July 1999, and I thought it would be great if I could go to the Bermuda Triangle, and I would go into this kind of portal.
Right?
When the end of the world
Pop out another one.
comes,
Bye-bye.
I would be
Excuse me.
I
Yeah.
love that. Do you think, like, does the same technology apply to, how you have different power spots throughout the world, or stargates, or, I mean, a lot of places like Stonehenge, for example, a lot of the henges, they just seem to build around these power spots, and the ancient people would live around the power spots. And over time, you would have the church come in, for example, or, other civilizations that would amalgamate or take them over, conquer them. And eventually now we have these big cathedrals on some of these power spots. Do you think it's just because they were in tune to these things back then? They're not affected by man-made frequencies the way we are today. They would have been able to be more open to the natural frequencies of these areas.
There were Catholic priests that were ultra sensitive to the energies of the earth, and it actually through different prayers, and they can achieve that in that kind of state of world, and in which they were so concentrated in what they're trying to do, and there were Catholic priests that could levitate, just like the ETs in the book Thiaoouba Prophecy. Yes, it's totally possible. And I do say that there are still people who can levitate on Earth,
Yes.
like monks in Nepal, as evidenced by a magician called Dan White in a History Channel documentary. And we can all develop these psychic abilities and to have ESP, extrasensory abilities or perceptions. And we can do that just by looking inside ourselves, by praying, by meditating, and there are a lot of Taoist masters in China who can still do that.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's once you learn it, I mean, I imagine that's something that gets passed down to the next generation of monks, which makes you wonder if the Dalai Lama can levitate, because he's like the top.
No, he cannot.
He
I was
cannot,
going to
eh?
say, actually,
They never taught him.
there's been a lot of stuff about him.
He's the top dog. Nobody taught him. Just couldn't get there. No, I love it. I love it. Reincarnation that's obviously something that everybody is curious about. What does the book have to say about reincarnation?
So we all reincarnate on Earth and on different planets.
Yeah.
It depends on the person's spiritual awareness or development. And so if you did perfectly well like Christ, you helped a lot of people, and you are compassionate, and you don't focus on the material accumulation, then you're likely to elevate your spirituality and your soul, and you're likely to be reincarnated higher category of planet, just like Thiaoouba. If you read the book Thiaoouba Prophecy, you're going to see that the planet Thiaoouba is just like a paradise, like a heaven to a lot of people on Earth. Everything's so perfect. People are compassionate, and they don't die because they can generate and regenerate their body tissues and cells. So this is why everyone should look up to the Thiaoubans and be compassionate and follow the teachings of Christ to be a spiritual person. So what happens is that when we die, when we pass, we give up our physical body, but our astral body leaves the physical body. And the astral body brings everything we did, every spiritual lesson we learned in our lifetime, into our higher self, which is also kind of like, I would say, you're a state in which you can reveal or revisit your past life or your life that you just formed. And then everything will be shown to you from the moment you're born, and also the critical moments of life that you did certain things onto others. You're able to not only feel how you felt, but also how others felt when you did certain things onto the others. So you're going to evaluate and judge on your own how you did in your life. So a lot of people, the Bible is right. There's going to be a judgment day, but you are going to judge on your own how you did in your lifetime. But because we are part of the Creator, and the Creator is part of us, in a sense, it's also the judgment day by the Creator as well. Because when the Creator created every one of us, it inserted a tiny portion of itself to each of our astral bodies. We are connected to the Creator, to God. So when we pass, we are going to evaluate and judge how we live our lifetime. And so this is the process, and we are going to realize what we did correctly and what we could improve in the next reincarnation. And then the possibilities of different families are shown to you. and then you can kind of decide which family to be born into. So like, and then before you do that, the memories of your past lives are erased. So this is what the ancient Nagas would call the river of oblivion, and this is what the Chinese people would call the soup of
This,
old lady, which serves the purpose of erasing your memories of your past lives.
and you know what? That's sort of like life's cruel joke, because sometimes you come back here because you need to try to improve on what you did the last time, but then you come back and you can't remember. So you're kind of thinking, well, how am I supposed to know what I did wrong?
It's really mean.
It is. And do your past trauma, can your past trauma make its way back with you as well in reincarnation? It can.
Yes,
Wow.
this is what actually Dr. Ian Stevenson did in his studies, researching 1,000 children who claim to have past life memories.
Yes.
So if a person is dead because of a traumatic event, that person is likely to have a birthmark reflecting the traumatic injuries. For example, if there's a gunshot to the shoulder of that person, when the person is born, then it's very likely that there's going to be like a birthmark on the shoulder of the baby. This is actually very reasonable because the trauma will impact the astral body of that person in his past life. And then when the energy field was impacted, and you can see that it's going to take the effect into the higher self when the person passes or is dead. And then when the person is reborn, it's going to bring over the impact of the astral body into the baby, into the womb of the mother. And then when the baby is born, it's going to, because the impact of the astral body is going to show up on the physical body of the baby, because the astral body affects the physical body of a person.
Even if they're birthmarks that come at birth and then as they grow older, they're not as noticeable or some disappear. Even then?
Even then, it can be impacted. This is actually a good sign if the birthmarks disappear, because that shows that the trauma from the past lives are no longer that obvious or affecting that person.
Thank you for that. My daughter had a really, really bad birthmark. I'll tell you about off here, but thank you for telling me that. That's great news. She overcame it. Thank you.
Before we get too far ahead, one thing I forgot to ask you about the pyramid. There's a lot of different theories as to what it was. We know it was not a tomb. I've been there. It was, the sarcophagus area was never used. It's up and down. They let me go everywhere in that thing. What was it? What does the book say it was? I know I'm just not going to hold you exactly.
So it is an energy center used by the ancient pharaohs to communicate with people on different planets and also to make rain, because it could actually collect or capture cosmic and terrestrial energies. And just a few months ago, like half a year ago, Italian scientists used the radar and they detected subterranean structures beneath the pyramid.
Yes.
So that structure could capture or can still capture terrestrial energies. And actually, the pyramid is one thing, but the Sphinx is something more mysterious. And according to the author Michel Desmarquet, there are 3 chambers beneath the Sphinx, and when they can be opened, everything will be known. But we have to be ready to open the 3 chambers.
Yeah, there's a lot of people waiting for that day. me included. It's very exciting. It's just to me any little tidbit of information that we can get, that they're giving us little slivers of it. I truly believe that there are people who know very well what is what, and they release it. When we talk about the columns underneath the pyramids, I mean, Dr. Zai Hawass in the 70s made a statement about it. And then all of a sudden you never heard another thing. And then, timing was just right. And they came up with it, which was extremely fascinating. Let's talk paranormal a little bit. Ghosts. What are ghosts?
So, back to what happens when we die.
Yeah.
So our astral body is actually made of electrons. When we die, the astral body goes to the higher self. And to be more precise and exact, 81% of the electrons of the astral body will go to our higher self after 3 days. So this is why Christ resurrected after 3 days. And this is why in Tibetan and Chinese culture, the corpse of a person is not to be touched for 3 days at least, because they don't think that the cycle of death has been completed yet. And then what about the remaining 19% of electrons? They remain in nature until they're either recycled by nature or when the person reincarnates. So because electrons have static forces that kind of make them together, or they resemble the appearance or the shape of the person who just passed. And because electrons also have memories, this is why ghosts frequently haunt the places they loved or hated. So this is why, like when you visit like a haunted house, some people will see ghosts and just remain there. And if you don't like them, you can just use a fire or a candle or a lighter, because electrons, they don't like fire.
No, that's interesting.
We're going to have to put that in our briefcase. Some are stubborn, but
Yes.
wow. So, oh my gosh. Okay, the whole ghost thing makes sense now, because sometimes when I have visions or it's something or someone tries to manifest itself in front of me, sometimes you only see part of them. You don't see the entirety. So it makes sense that there's missing neutrons. That makes so much sense. How often do you hear somebody who's had a spirit sighting say, I could only see from the waist up, or I could only see their head and their shoulders? It almost like it gives, thank you. That gives a lot of explanation to that. That I can understand. It makes sense.
So the book covers ghosts. The book covers extraterrestrials and crafts, so to speak. What about, and I'm going to throw this out there because we know they're here, cryptids?
Could you explain like
cryptids, Bigfoot, different, I mean, I'll use another example. We have what's called like the dog man, like a werewolf. But then I go back to times of mythology or times of ancient hieroglyphs like Anubis. They had these different hybrid type animals. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, there were a lot of different kinds of animals in the ancient civilizations that went extinct because of different reasons. And some of the animals were actually destroyed by ETs because they were harmful to the human beings on Earth. And some of them were extinct due to natural disasters. So it depends on the kind of animals we're talking about. And actually, the author, Michel Desmarquet, saw animals portrayed in the walls of Lemuria to be like half human, half animals.
Yes.
And also, but if you're talking about Bigfoot, then I would speculate that there are beings that can come in and get out of the parallel universe.
Yes.
They know how to enter into
Yes.
that portal and come out. So there are different kinds of animals that existed on Earth, and also there are different kinds of animals that live on different planets. So we had a lot of very interesting discussion on that.
Yeah. So essentially, they're just coming through these portals or the warp technology, as you say.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very
You
fascinating.
made a lot of people happy with that with that answer.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the field. Yeah.
No, they're definitely out there. So basically, we have ET, who is saying, "Live, love, laugh, enlighten, evolve, awaken." Um, what do they want us to do? Oh, yeah. See, this is something Kathy brings up again. Sorry, Saint Christopher. Right? There are old depictions of him as a dog, a wolf type being.
Really?
Yeah, there are pictures of him. We can go find it. It's all over the place.
Oh wow! I didn't
you
know
you
that.
cannot make this stuff up. No, you can go in and see it. Yeah,
Yeah. I've
there's
never really put much research into him.
old depictions of him. Yes, I probably have some somewhere here, but it's a thing.
Interesting.
So in getting to reaching within ourselves, we're working with frequency, vibration, which we can actually use this to heal ourselves as well.
Yes. This is why human auras or the human biofields are so important,
Yes.
because when you go into a meditative state, you are actually making yourself to be in tune with nature and also your higher self. So especially like if you meditate in front of a tree or in a forest, you're going to have elevated health-related benefits and spiritual effects because of the environment.
Yes.
And so this is why a lot of aura readers, people who can see auras, would suggest people to really get into nature and not be so spend too much time on the technologies or cell phones. And actually, if you really want to learn more about that, you can read some books by aura readers like Barbara Brennan and Judith Collins. And also, auras can explain why acupuncture and Chinese or Indian herbal medicines work. Because what happens is that in the ancient times, some of the Chinese doctors could see the colors of auras. They could just put the acupuncture needles, into the locations in which there were energy blockages. But as days passed, the Chinese doctors lost the ability to see the auras. And so this is why they developed this kind of acupuncture meridian system to put the needles on specific acupressure points based on symptoms. But in the
It
past,
works.
yes, but in the past they could see the energy blockages, and they could also use herbal medicine to really improve the auras or the human biofields of the people in the past. So what happens is that when you boil the different herbs, you are actually passing the vibrational frequencies of the vibrational herbs into the water, which you are using the water as a carrier of the vibrational frequencies of the medicinal herbs. So this is why herbal medicines work when you drink the liquid, when you drink the tea.
Yes. Yes. I'm a firm believer that we were put here in physical form, and that we were given everything that we should have to be able to sustain ourselves, heal ourselves. And we've just had a lot working against us as humanity. So we forget, or is that something we forget again? How to do all that for ourselves?
Yes, so this is why a lot of people are waking up to find that conventional Western medicine only treats the symptoms, but not the root causes of the diseases. And there are a lot of ancient wisdoms, such as fortune telling, astrology, and neurology that really work. I can tell a little bit of why astrology works, because the locations of planets affect the electromagnetic fields that they impose on Earth. So each planet or each object has its own electromagnetic force and other forces that modern physics haven't discovered yet. So their locations actually affect the force fields that they cause on Earth. So when a person is born at a specific location and a specific moment of time, is actually taking into the electromagnetic force affected by the locations of the different planets in the solar system, as well as other forces that we don't know yet. So this is why certain people born at a specific location at a given moment of time has certain tendencies or aspects, but we also have free will. So when we are born into this field in this world, we are also given by the Creator to have free will. So astrology can only kind of tell a person like about 20% what the personalities or aspects down the road. But we also have to remember our own determination, our own free will determine the other 80%. So this is why, like, the future depends on our actions. The future is not fixed. It depends on our collective actions. So this is why I've been putting a lot of my time and energy to mobilize and motivate the people to really create a better future by having the right knowledge, the knowledge to empower themselves.
I think it's important. There are many people who work with consciousness and do energy work who feel that things are shifting. So whether it's the collective consciousness and the people, or whether it's a planetary shift, like the energy from the planet itself. Are you aware of anything like that? Like, does in the book, does E.T. talk about things like that coming for us?
Yeah, I think there's a big shift because the ETs are making contact to us. Michel Desmarquet is one example, and there are others like Enoch was contacted by the ETs. And it's important to realize that there are different kinds of ETs. There are some that are just observing us; they don't intervene at all, and there are some that intervene in our past, like helping Moses to lead the Hebrews out of Egypt during Exodus. And they're still trying to help us by, for example, by having Michelle to go to their planet for 9 days and then come back to write a book. I think, but it takes the right knowledge to really realize that the ETs can only do certain things to a certain extent. We have to help ourselves because God helps those who help themselves. I'll give you an analogy. If you are a father of a child or mother of a daughter, you are trying to teach your daughter how to solve a mathematical problem. You don't just give the answer to her. You show her how to solve the problem so that she can solve the problem on her own. This is the right way to learn if you are wise. So similarly, ETs are giving us a nudge by giving us the right knowledge so that we can get our acts together to help ourselves to build a better future. So this is the right way to learn, right way to survive as a species on Earth in the future.
I believe that. I believe that, we've had so many ancient civilizations that have come and gone, and we all seem to be like these hamsters on a wheel, or we're on this treadmill. And we're not really going anywhere. But we think we're doing wonderful. But it seemed that there were some civilizations that seem so much more advanced, where we should be more advanced now. This has to be frustrating for extraterrestrials, these other beings that are going, what is wrong with you people? The message is clear. And instead we have people saying, well, why can't they just come here and get us? Why can't they just come here and help us? Why are they just dropping breadcrumbs and making us figure it out for ourselves?
Making us come back.
Yeah.
Like, can you escape reincarnation or no?
You actually can. The Buddha did. The Buddha, he was enlightened, and he just escaped the cycles. And also the Theoubans, they live forever, so they're forever young looking. They escape the reincarnations. If you elevate your spirituality, your souls, you're eventually going to do that. Mm-hmm. This is what the Christians frequently talk about heaven, but it's a gradual process. You don't just go to heaven without going through the refining process or the filtering process.
Right.
There's atonement and purgatory. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there are different kinds of ETs too. The ETs like Theoubans, they don't reincarnate anymore. But we, the people on Earth, are actually living on Category 1 planet. It's actually the lowest category in the universe.
Of course it is.
We are learning the basics. There's one thing that's a little bit controversial, but I'm going to bring it out. When I was reading the Bible, I always asked, why the Old Testament was only for the Hebrews? Why not for the Chinese? Why it doesn't really talk about the blacks, the yellows, or the Caucasians at all? Why the Hebrews? Mm-hmm. Now, when I look at the, some of the statistically significant facts, for example, the Jewish people, they only account for 0.2% of world population, but 22% of the Nobel Prize winners are Jewish, and they excel in all the different fields they enter into. And if you look at the longevity of the Ashkenazi Jews in the US, they live on average 5 years longer than the Caucasian population in the US. You read the Old Testament, the Bible, you're going to read they lived 800 years old, 900 years old. Why that's the case? Now, the book Thiaoouba Prophecy explains and unveils the reason.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Well, do you want to add to that?
So there are different categories of planets. So the blacks, the yellows, the Caucasians, and the ancestors of the Polynesians, they all came originally from Category 1 planet. But the Hebrews came from a different category of planet. So this is why they were the chosen people.
Right. Because they've done their time and they get to go home, and the rest of us are still on the treadmill trying to make our way out.
But this is also the reason why Jewish people were constantly being persecuted and kind of struggling in our society. Yeah.
Yes. It a lot of it makes sense. I've always tried to look at humanity as just, we're human beings, we're the human race. I always try to look beyond color, beyond, faith, beyond. I just try to look at us as we're all in this together.
Oh my!
We're all on this Category 1.
The song's going through my head now.
Yes, we're all here trying to figure it out. And those who are, let's say, more advanced, I think in a way is it not, I won't say a duty, but isn't it the right thing to do is to teach those who are up and coming? Unless you're an indigo child or you just get thrown in there and you already have all the answers,
Yeah, definitely. So this is why, like, I live in Los Angeles. When I see after COVID, a lot of homeless people,
Oh,
people who are addicted by drugs or alcohol, I feel kind of motivated to make the change, to get people the right knowledge. Because if you really read into the book, you're going to have a lot of knowledge about how to be more spiritual, but at the same time, how to maintain good health. You're going to realize that alcohol is actually more dangerous than cigarettes in in your human energy field or in your auras. And the drugs, hallucinogenic drugs, actually affect your auras more negatively than alcohol. A lot of
Yes.
people don't know this. So,
No.
and a lot of aura readers confirm this, what I just said. So if you do this, if you know this, you're going to have the motivation to get rid of hallucinogenic drugs, get rid of alcohol, and hopefully stop smoking too, and eat healthy food, organic food. And so you don't have to rely on the system, the medical system, that actually kind of damage our health a lot of times. So if you have the right knowledge to be more independent of the system, so you don't really have to have medical insurance. You don't really have to rely on conventional drugs, on the doctors. You can actually heal yourselves if you have the right knowledge and tools.
I think it's important because it's all out there, and people talk about it all the time. If we choose to listen or to acknowledge it or to look at it as a viable a viable source. I mean, some people just won't. They're just very old school, or they're very conditioned. It's like, no, that's not a thing. But I mean, you can talk yourself out of being sick. I mean, I've done things like that. You feel something coming on. It's like, nope, that's not a thing. I'm just no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm perfectly healthy. I'm just perfectly good. And it'll just bypass you.
Yes, and I can explain why that's the case.
Yes.
Because your mindset, your thoughts, your consciousness affects the chakras, and the chakras affect the auras, and the auras affect your physical body. So what happens in Brazil, in John of God, is that, like, there are crystals beneath that region in which the people who are sick, they actually, if they believe that John of God could heal them, and they have this kind of belief mentality and mindset, and with the force of the crystals beneath the ground in Brazil, where John of God was, and they could actually heal themselves. So this
Yes.
is actually the effect of this is a placebo effect, actually.
yeah.
Yes.
When you learn of different tribes around the world who are nowhere near civilizations, and their elders are 90, over 100 years old and healthy, vital, and walking around, and there is no pharma there, and they are not grocery shopping, and there are no interference with microwaves and 5G technology and all of this noise, and no oh my gosh, right on the tip of my tongue, pollution. You
Right.
see that life. It's a difficult one for us to change to. It would take probably generations to get there. But you see their lifespan is so much longer, and the joy that they have amongst themselves. I feel like they live a better life than anyone on this planet.
Yes. Mindset or mentality is actually the best medicine or best way to live
Yeah.
a life. Yes.
And their gratitude for the planet and for everything. It's beautiful. And I mean all different tribes around the world that are living in non-civilized, you have to trek there by foot to get their places. They're much luckier than most would want to believe, but
Well, they're not affected by
anything.
conditioning.
conditioning, materialism, none of it.
No,
It's just
no.
family being, it's beautiful.
So basically, what is at the end of everything with this the Thiaoouba Prophecy? What is the message? What is the end message?
The message is that we are at a very critical moment of time in history, in the history of mankind, to make the right choices and decisions, because our technological advancement is likely to destroy our civilization if we don't have spiritual knowledge. So we have to use technology to help our spiritual development. And this is why they're having Michel Desmarquet to write a book, because we have to make the right choices right now. And the book actually covers a wide range of topics that will empower people to make the right decisions in the future, because we elect the politicians, the government. We don't, when people like, I was just attending the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles, and people just hope the government to make the official announcement or disclosure. Instead, they should act. The people have more power than the politicians, because the politicians rely on the people. So people need to realize that they have to act, get together and act. And actually, the book provides a solution to rise up against the tyrannies, for the people to rise up against tyrannies in the world, which is to use nonviolent resistance to follow the footsteps of Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King. Because violence never does anything. Hitler tried it, failed. Napoleon tried it, failed. Genghis Khan tried it and failed. So it's the cultivation of the mind that the ultimate way of elevating people's consciousness. So nonviolent resistance, love and compassion, and empowering the people with knowledge. Those are the right ways to make the world a better world.
So gotta get rid of the evil on top first, though.
So consciousness. So again, awareness, awakening. Do you feel that we are our own worst enemy? Because now with this technological age, we have artificial intelligence, which everybody, all of the great minds have essentially said, no, don't dabble with that. And here we are, full steam ahead, more than dabbling. So, I mean, that sort of dumbs us down a little bit, doesn't it? Like it just keeps us from, maybe keeps us distracted. Maybe the technology itself will keep us from reaching that awareness and reaching deep inside of our consciousness.
Yeah, so this is like a race.
Yeah.
Whether we're going to use technology to invent ways to elevate our spirituality, or the other way around. So this is why this is very important for us to get together and to promote such messages to as many people as possible, not just people in the US, but people all over the world, in China, in Japan, in India, in Africa. Like, we have to unite as a human species.
Lastly, do they talk about anything coming forward with respects to cataclysm? Because, every 12,000 years, there's got to be cataclysm. Do you feel that, like, have they make mention of anything along those lines of natural cataclysm that we need to be aware of as humanity?
If we are talking about natural cataclysm, then the next one is going to be the moon, because and I agree, Avi Loeb said during his interview with Joe Rogan, the moon will crash onto Earth in the distant future. And the Theoubans give a year is in about 20,000 years or so. So if by that time human as a species does not have the knowledge or technology or spiritual development to move up or to move to a different planet, then that's going to be the end of human species on Earth. So that's going to be next natural disaster. Earthquakes that are just going to be local earthquakes, and I would say, read the book and we can talk more about what's going to happen in the future.
Yes, yes, yes.
Definitely.
Well, thanks, Rochelle. I'm doing my best over here. Right. Oh, well, I think it, any way we look at it, this book is more than worth giving just a simple read to. I think, as like Karan had mentioned earlier, you can read it over and over and over again and still find something new in it every time.
Exactly, and the book is also on Audible because a lot of people want to listen after reading it, and this book has touched a lot of people's lives in China. Many people were on the verge of committing suicide, and then after reading the book, they have hope for humanity and their personal lives. So this book is something that I would strongly recommend people to read for their own personal benefit.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to read it. Definitely.
Yeah. It definitely left me with a need for wanting to have a better understanding of it. So I'm so pleased that you were able to come back and join us again. And of course, I wanted to put this picture up because here you are, the translator, the author.
That was taken 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
10 years ago.
So,
Two.
So this must have been such an honor for you, like so exciting, because you read this man's experience and you resonated with all of it enough to, here you are today in the hot seat, sharing it with the world. You must have really believed in him.
Yes, and the message is in the book because it's beneficial to making the world a better world.
Yes. Well, big thank you to both of you for this incredible book. And thank you guys to everybody in the chat room who have tuned in, of course, this evening to catch our show with Samuel Chong. Of course, I knew it was going to be amazing. It was. If you have any questions, where can people find you? I did put the website up here for you. I will do this again. There we go.
Yeah, people can find me here, and I'm actually going to be in Australia from March 5th to the 10th in Melbourne, and just to visit a friend and also to talk about the spirituality and the book. And I'll be in Ozark in April to present what I learned and a few other conferences.
It's very important to create that awareness and continue spreading it. They should be offering this as a study in universities.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that would require, okay, here's the real truth. Are you ready for it? Oh, she's in Australia. Misha's in Australia. You're going to have to go visit Samuel and say, I saw you on the Outer Realm. Anyway.
She's in Adelaide. Yeah.
Yeah. Adelaide, yes. So thank you all for tuning in tonight. And again, big thank you to everybody in chat. Big thank you, of course, to Samuel for coming on again and indulging us, and look for more of Samuel, especially on his other book, 334 Lies. We're going to do that one very cautiously, but we're going to do it. Anyway.
It's important.
I know.
Yeah.
Very cautiously.
Very cautious. Tomorrow night, guys, Marilyn Hughes returns. We're going to be discussing her book, The Aliens of the Redemption, The Mysterious Role of Extraterrestrials in Salvation History in Ancient Sacred Texts. So it's going to be deep. I promise you it's going to be deep. And I hope you will all tune in for that. And until then, thank you all and good night.